Welcome to So True, and today's devotional is entitled Carry Your Own Bags, and it's based on Galatians 6 verse 5. Let me read that text. For each one shall bear his own load. Paul Powell tells the story of Beverly King, who at one point was the richest man in Graham, Texas. His footprint in Graham was large, in that he owned the hotel, was the big-time stockholder and director at the bank, not to mention other business interests. Yet for all his money and status, he seldom dressed or acted the part. He usually spent his week going about town in his work clothes, distributing books of matches, advertising the bank. Given his unpretentious demeanor, he was mistaken by one traveling salesman for the town loafer. The salesman had car trouble and was told by the local garage owner that he would have to stay at night at the hotel while his car was being fixed. Being told that there was a hotel down the street, he asked Beverly King, who happened to be about the garage at that time, if he would mind carrying his bags down to the hotel. Although the owner of the hotel, Mr. King decided to play along for the fun of it. And as they moved down toward the hotel, Mr. King in tow with a bag in each hand, the salesman said, "As I came into town, I noticed a big house built on the hill. It must have been 4,000, 5,000 square feet." Mr. King said, "Yes, I've seen it." The stranger continued, "That surprises me. I wouldn't have thought that anybody around here could have afforded a house of such luxury. Do you know who owns it?" Mr. King replied, "Yes, it belongs to me." The salesman took a second look at Mr. King and then said, "How in the world could you afford a house like that?" Mr. King replied, I'm guessing with a smile on his face, "By carrying my own bags." That's a good word. As we make our way through life, we need to carry our own bags. We need to take primary responsibility for our own lives. While God is always there to help and others to shoulder the burdens of life, each of us have a God-given duty to do our part to solve our problems, to meet our obligations. Reliance upon God and help from others is by no means a substitute for a lack of insight, industry, and ingenuity on our part. In life, some burdens are to be shed. In Psalm 55, verse 22, the Lord invites us to cast, or to throw would be a better rendering of the Hebrew, to throw our burdens on Him, and He will sustain us. The word burden carries the idea of that which has been allotted. Therefore, here's what this text is saying. Whatever the situation, whatever the struggle in life, we can go to God and ask for grace necessary to handle that which God has allotted. The promise here is not to save us from the burdens and blows of life, but to sustain us in them. In life, some burdens are to be shed, but in life, some burdens are to be shared. In Galatians 6, 1-2, Paul calls the church to come alongside the hurting, the wounded, and the fallen, and nurse them back to spiritual health and strength. It's to be done in a spirit of meekness. There's to be compassion, not condescension or condemnation. There's to be restoration, not rejection. We're not to bury our wounded. We're to share each other's burdens and challenges and encourage each other in the gospel and in the Lord Jesus. Some burdens are to be shed. Some burdens are to be shared. But back to the text I started this devotional with, some burdens are to be shouldered. In Galatians 6 verse 5, Paul tells the Christians at Galatia to bear their own load. Now, here's what's interesting about that text and the word load. This is the picture of the Roman soldier carrying his own backpack. That's the word in the Greek, a backpack, a soldier's bag, so to speak. the load that he carries. And Paul is taking that image and telling us that we need to, lift our own load. In the normal course of life, the Christian is to lift their assigned gear. The Christian is someone who gladly does his or her part at home, at church, at work, within the community. So the moral or the lesson or the point of our devotional day is pretty simple, but it's pretty profound. As Mr. King said to the salesman, or inferred, don't forget to carry your own bags today, because that's the secret to success in life.